What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and honestly today I traded pretty terribly. I missed the best setup of the day that is pretty much the same thing I've been talking about for a while, where you have that nice spike up in pre-market, it fades down, it forms like a U shape, and then it breaks out past those highs. And this went on to spike well over 100%, so you could have bought in the 2s and sold in the 5s. I missed this because I was watching other stuff. I think it's time for me to put to use all those extra laptops I have laying around. I have 2 laptops besides this one that are just sitting on a shelf collecting dust, and I think it's time I get those up so I have more charts, so I stop missing these plays. But there's a lot of good takeaways from today. You guys can learn to trade these patterns and learn from my mistakes that I made today. And then also I have some stocks that I want you to keep on watch for tomorrow because I think they could continue to spike and honestly be very good moving forward. So with that being said, let's dive into my laptop and look at these charts. All right, so I'm here on my laptop, and here you guys can see this is the chart for IPDN today, and it had this beautiful spike up here, had these nice pre-market highs, came back down, and looked like it found a bottom and was kind of uptrending into market open. Now, I actually didn't realize this, but I cannot buy before market open in my Roth IRA, or at least if I can on Fidelity. I've not figured out how to do that yet, so the only way I can do that is in Robinhood, and that's just a little dummy account with barely $100 in there, so that really doesn't make sense for me to play. So in this case, I was waiting for market open, and it spiked immediately market open, and I missed this entry here. So at this point, I wasn't in it, and I wasn't going to chase here in case it failed here. So I would either wait for this breakout or try to get a better entry, because my favorite entry is, I would say like right in this area, because you're right above the lows. So if it breaks those lows, you can cut it. But if it fails to break out over this high and it crashes back down, you can still get out at a profit if you get in here. And that's why I love this so much. But in this case, again, you can see it spikes up beautifully, comes back down, and it spikes up, fails, but has this hold of the bottom again, and it looks like kind of a triple bottom there. Honestly, it's able to hold this. I think it might be a slightly higher low, and then it spikes back on up. Looks like it double tops here, but then in the very next candle, you can see it takes off and breaks through that resistance from the pre-market highs. You can see it's right at this level in this candle. The very next one, it ripped through with a ton of volume, and at this point, this is a really good entry, and I wish I'd gotten in here, but for whatever reason, I was watching some of these other plays because I saw it double top twice, and I was watching number 1 TSNP, and I was also watching COUV. So I'll go into those plays in a second, but because of that, I missed this beautiful setup. I underestimated it when I saw it double top twice here, reject here. I thought it was done for, but it ended up. You can see it rips through this here, and then just goes absolutely nuts, man. So it continues to spike on up, and then ends up getting halted somewhere in here. Not here yet. 10:05. So yeah, it gets halted on this one. It's here. It reopens back up. Has a ton of volume there. You can see. Look at all the volume on that breakout. I mean, my goodness. Look at the increasing volume here. Once it breaks out over those pre-market highs, this volume here confirms the breakout, and it goes absolutely wild when it reopens and ends up spiking up super high again, getting halted again. We go to the next candle. You can see that's 10:11, 10:12, continues spiking. It gets halted here, reopens, continues to spike, and at this point, I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, God dang it. I'm not in this. I missed this one. We know what has been happening recently when these stocks spike up, like ACY, RHE, all of these stocks spiking up and then having that halt that turns into a longer halt and then gapping down horribly, disgustingly, and you lose, half of your investment instantly if you're long and you're chasing up in here. So even though it can continue to spike, you don't know when it's going to turn into a longer halt that's going to get ugly. And in this case, I could not chase this one. I couldn't do it. And, it ends up doing this. This is what it ends up doing eventually. But you can see here, I mean, this thing went all the way up. If I zoom in here just a little bit more, this thing went all the way up and touched 556. So, I mean, if you bought here at the break of this pre-market high and then the highs here, you're golden, man. You've doubled your money in less than an hour. So that's an incredible move. Again, this is called the ABCD pattern. And if I haven't talked about this before, let me pull it up right now just so you guys can see. So here you can see the ABCD pattern, and again, you have that nice spike up and then kind of a U-shaped breakout. So there's a low that's set there. You risk off the lows, and then it comes up, continues to go up. You can buy pretty much anywhere in here, but the better trade is buying as close as you can to this risk level, so you're risking less. Because if you buy here and you risk all the way down there, that's a lot of risk, and it could definitely reject here. So this is a great thing to look for. If it breaks out of there, this is what pretty much all of them have been doing when they've been breaking out to crazy levels. If I go back, if I go back to ACY, if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of the same setup today. Yes, I mean, you can't even really see here because it went so high, but if I pull this up, it had this big spike up, kind of a U shape, and then it was able to spike up past, break these, and just go on to absolutely rip. This is one of my favorite patterns. This is probably the highest reward pattern that you're going to get in terms of potential, because if you hop in on these things, man, they can really go. So when I missed that one, I was looking at COUV. So if I pull that one up, COUV, this is that same very cheap stock that kind of had been run down, and it bounces out a lot. It has a lot of volatility. So when I saw this panic here, and I thought the other one was double topping, I was thinking, all right, let me get in here and get a nice dip buy, because TSNP, I missed the dip buy on this one. If you were watching this, you would know it was pretty much impossible to get executed on this dip buy. It looks like it had a really nice dip and bounce, but I mean, this was so choppy, barely anything got filled down there. There was very little volume. It wasn't like it normally was, where there's a ton of selling and it turns into a ton of buying. Not at all. So I mean, in this case, it bounced up to like here before you could really even get an entry. So I had no opportunity to get in on this one. Definitely missed out on that one. And I was looking for this to break over this high of day here, and or I guess this area, but kind of in this, most importantly, to break over this high, but it wasn't able to do that, and slowly grind it up. Did it here a little bit, did it here. I actually bought in right here for the break of 17. It was printing 17 a ton, but there were some hidden sellers, and I've actually talked about this in the past, but when you see a tiny seller on here, but it's soaking up a ton of volume, that means there's someone who has a ton of size and who is trying to soak everything up without you realizing how much size they have, because they want to get the best price possible for their shares. So I saw that. I saw it printing a ton, and I saw it downtick a tiny bit, and I was like, all right, I'm out. So I took a $10 loss on that. You can see here, not even $10, a $9.46 loss on my 10,000 shares of TSNP there. And right after I did that, it sold off and was never able to break 17. This is one of those plays where, it has that consolidation all day. If it broke out over 17, this probably would have been a nice breakout and probably easily could have hit 18, been a nice $100 profit. Was looking for my daily 100 on TSNP, but was unable to get it today. And then let me show you guys some of these other plays that I had, just so you can see. So BDR, this was a similar play, and I missed IPDN, and this stock started to have a similar look about it, similar look and feel. So it spiked up here, got halted right there, and I ended up getting in right here. I think I got in at 150, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I got in at like 151, and it came up here, but I saw that it wasn't continuing up and having another halt up to the upside, which is what I was looking for. So because of that, I sold it, and I took some measly profits on this one. I had a similar play on MTR, and this definitely could have gone either way, but I was just kind of bored on this one, and this one was definitely a lot more risky because if you look here, like just based on the price of the stock, it costs a lot more, and it was up from $4 all the way up to $6.80. So in terms of a dollar amount that it can fall, it was significantly more than the other one. So this was more risky. And I because I missed IPND, I chased the hell out of this one, and I ended up buying in right here at like 6, I want to say. Yeah, so I bought in here at 651, and it ended up failing. It gapped up. I think it, yeah. So, okay, so I bought it here after it unhalted off of this halt because, buying in immediately after the halts, if it continues, halts up again, that's normally a good thing. But in this case, you can see it unhalted, it opened super high. I mean, it opened at $7, but I guess, there was some manipulation there and there was a ton of shorts, and this thing absolutely rejected $7, and I was negative on the position and tried to sell. I tried to cut right here, but it ended up halting on the downside within like probably 5 seconds, and I was unable to get out of this. It reopened here, and it went all the way down very quickly, and I was looking for a bounce, and there was no bounce, and I ended up getting out right before it cracked under 5. So I mean, that was a disgusting trade, and that was all because I was chasing because I missed out on IPND. So in this case, this was not a good trade because you see this. Where's the managing of risk on this? This stock literally was just spiking up, and I bought it on the halt hoping it would continue to spike up and get halted to the upside again. So like that is a horrible trade in terms of risk management. Like, yeah, potentially this could have continued spiking, had another halt to the upside and gone up to $10, but in terms of risk management, like all these things today were failing. I saw BDR, that failed, IPDN eventually failed, and then there was a ton more like that I just started trading because I kind of got bored. BS QR, if we go look at this one, very similar thing, a big spike up, and then it just kind of failed. FTFT, if we go look at this one, had kind of a spike up, and then it just failed, man. It just rejected. So everything was spiking and then just rejecting. If we go to HAPP, similar story, man. So it spiked up, and then it kind of just rejected. So all of these, luckily I was only able to take a small L on most of these, but it's just kind of pathetic, man. I just got bored, and I started breaking my rules and not looking for the A grade setups. I was just trading to be bored and like, oh, I don't want to miss out on that. So FOMO really got the best of me today, and that's one of those things that I need to get a handle on if I ever want to be a super successful trader. So definitely working on that. I would say the last thing is bingo. I just want to show you guys this one. If I can pull it up, BNGO. BINGO, BINGO. It's a dance I used to do at camp. So this one I was trading the trend line, and it honestly worked pretty well. I gave back some profits on this one, and then I ended up, selling, cutting losses a little bit too soon. But you can see here, I mean, this trend line is a pretty damn good trend line. So you move it down like a little bit, adjust it maybe a little bit. But I mean, this is what I was seeing. So anytime it spiked up a ton and then had a pullback, I tried to buy around this trend line. That was my thinking because I could see that it was holding the trend line very nicely. So in this case, I ended up buying right here on this pullback, and then I ended up selling here on this little red part because I'm thinking, all right, maybe it's going to come all the way back down. I want to take my profits, and then ended up spiking a significant amount more. So I bought, here, and then I ended up selling there. And then it spiked more, and it came down and eventually ended up breaking through that trend line. And obviously, once it breaks the trend line, that's a very bad sign. It ended up turning the pattern bearish overall. And at that point, it would have been a good short. Was unable to get back above those levels, and then just absolutely sold off. When this support broke here. So I mean, if you had shares to short on this stock, once it broke down here, you see it absolutely sold off just because this support dropped. Obviously, I can't short in my Roth IRA, but that would have been another great trade right there. So just some pretty good setups going into tomorrow. TTCF, of course, the day after I sell. That's how FOMO works. That's how fear works. Fear and greed govern the market. So I determined yesterday that I couldn't have this go down anymore on me. So I cut my losses when it broke through 23, and then it bounced off of 22, and the rest is history. Now it's back up to 24. So that would have been, a couple hundred profit today, several hundred profit back up on this stock. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna stress about that. Like I said, at this point, this stock is mid-range, so it could really do anything. I'm not gonna buy it unless it breaks out of these highs or it comes all the way back down to probably around 20. So I'm not gonna chase this stock again. And then if we go here, this is the stock that I want you guys to keep a close watch on for tomorrow. It had a very good uptrend for most of the day and then spiked into close. This is the exact thing that we want to be looking for. This is an OTC stock. It's not trading after hours. But we can see here, like this stock, it really went crazy. And if we look at the 1 year chart, it's spiking. Today, it was able to break past these 52-week highs. closing, right around a penny. So honestly, I would expect this to gap up tomorrow and, potentially continue to spike. So definitely this is one that you want to have on your watch. Maybe it gaps up and there's a morning panic that gives a good dip buying opportunity, but this stock is going to be doing something interesting tomorrow for sure. So definitely have this on your watch list. I also wanted to talk about PMPG. Now this is a pink sheet stock, and because of that, I am actually unable to buy this stock, which is very frustrating because I knew about it, back here. So I could have gotten it in the 30s, in the 28. So I could have gotten this, 400% ago. But Fidelity won't let me buy this, frustratingly enough. But this is from what I've heard, I haven't done my due diligence, but if you want a stock to investigate and you're allowed to buy pink sheet stocks, definitely look into this stock. The due diligence looks really good on this in terms of, OTC companies that have very, very good potential. This is definitely one. Even potentially the chance of getting listed on the NASDAQ at some point. They have some big things in the works. So just keep this on your radar. If you want to pick up some shares, manage your risk, obviously, but this could potentially be pretty big coming forward into the future. So be aware of that. It's it's up a ton. Obviously, this was barely anything, and now it's here. So this could be another, TSNP like play. And if you load up now, it could be decent. So definitely do your due diligence. I can't buy this stock again because it's pink sheets, but this is another one I want you guys to be watching. So I think that's pretty much it for today. I think tomorrow people are expecting the market to be a lot less volatile just because, some people are taking the day off. A lot of traders are saying, it's the last day of the year, I'm not going to trade. So I'm not expecting things to be too crazy. But if we get any good setups, if we get any good panics with dip buying opportunities, or any good U-shaped breakouts, any good, ascending wedge breakouts, triangle breakouts, I'm going to be looking for all those. So if you guys don't know what that is, go check out some of my previous videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And until then, let's grow better together.
Besar tu boca si te despiertas, mi tiempo también es tuyo porque me inspiras. Solo quiero que seas la única que así me mira.